As it turns out, I did a fridge raid. Basically looked in my fridge and freezer and looked at things that either were there for a while or I should actually eat because I'm hungry. But seriously, vegetables in the fridge for too long is not a good thing. Potatoes in the freezer, they get soggy after a while. And the celery was actually starting to grow in the fridge. So I guess it's time I made something delicious out of all these things. And what I've gathered together here, I'm going to spice with curry powder, oregano, parsley, chicken cubes, of course garlic, onion, and I'm going to use a habanero. So let's go. Let's make something delicious. Dicing the habanero. Well, one habanero actually. Don't need more than one. These things can be quite hot, bring a lot of heat, so you want to use a bit sparingly. Celery. Split lengthwise. Chop off the parts you don't really need. You can split some more if you want, just to make it finer, which I will do. And chop, chop, chop. Okay, celery is done, and now I'm going to sort of like, well, mess with the garlic. I like to crush them. Makes it easier to remove the skins or the peel, or whatever you call it, or the garlic paper, as I heard someone call it a while ago. I use Nigerian garlic, so it's slightly more finicky, but you'll get the hang of it. Next thing is chop the garlic. Like it a bit finer, so get to work. It doesn't take long. Of course, you'll have a knife that's sharp so that you can really get through the garlic faster. And yes, practice your chopping technique. I like this particular cleaver because it's heavy, a bit sharp, so a little less resistance from the ingredients, if you like. But sharpness by itself will do that. The knife is heavy, helps too. Oh yeah, onion. You want to dice that just a little bit. My knife isn't sharp enough, but heavy enough to get me what I want. Well, this is part of what you learn when you practice how to cut an onion. It's much easier when the knife is really sharp, but this is what comes out. This technique serves two purposes at least. One, you don't get too much onion in your eyes, so you're not crying. And of course, you get finely diced onions. My vegetables of choice are the green beans I found in the fridge. I'm not going to do too much to them. I've trimmed off the edges. I'm just going to chop them into short lengths for easy consumption. And then we have the vegetables. Ignore my cleaver. That's it's a favorite cleaver. I've obviously used it for all sorts of crazy operations, which is why there's lovely plaster wrapping the handle to keep it from falling apart. I guess I have to get one soon enough. But we're almost ready. Oh yes, and yeah, blended some tomatoes already, some Roma tomatoes. An advantage of keeping them in the freezer is that the skins are easier to pull off. I don't like tomato skins very much, so taking the skins off, just blended them, and we're going to use them like that. So the very first thing I'm doing, fry off the onions, celery, garlic, and habanero mixture. Well, they're getting translucent. The aroma of what's in the pot is filling the kitchen, so I'm going to do something slightly different. Because the potatoes have been in the freezer for a while, like I said, they're a bit soggy. So I'm going to actually fry the potatoes in this mixture. I'm trying to achieve two things by doing so. One is to basically sort of firm up the potatoes. I'm not a chef, so I'll probably get shot for this. And the other thing is to sort of like, get some flavor into the potatoes right away. Let's see if it works. Add some water, not too much, just almost covering the potatoes, and you can see that the colors change because of the tomatoes. I've also salted a bit. I added some fennel salt that I bought at the farmer's market. Okay, covered it. Let it bubble for a bit before we move to the next stage. It needs a little something, so I'm going to add a bit of crayfish to it to raise the umami level a little bit. Another taste test. Oh yeah, that definitely is what it needed. It was missing that little bit of thing that comes from crayfish. Okay, I've just added the green beans to the bubbling pot, as it were. Just almost done, so it's time to add the vegetables. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to add the fish too. Okay, I've added the fish. The fish that I'm using in this particular instance is called Nile perch, but you can use any firm-fleshed fish like maybe barracuda or those types of fish. So the final bit of cooking, and then about 5 minutes we'll be eating. Refrigerate. Well, as you can see, food is ready. You can do all sorts of things with whatever it is you find inside your fridge. And this is the end product. Potatoes, green beans, and fish in a very tasty broth. So it's not a particular recipe, rather it's just a process. Just keep in mind that you need to have a base of onions, garlic, and habanero. The celery was just the fact that it was in the fridge, so I just used it. And then whatever starches, vegetables, and proteins you have, you can adapt them. Just remember to sort of like follow the process of building the base of flavor. Fry the usual suspects, that's the onions, garlic, and habanero in the oil first. And then, start to layer particularly pay attention to the order in which what you're going to put in will cook. So the things that will take longest to cook go in first, and in that sequence until you have a finished dish. It's just a hack. It works and it produces very tasty food.